Hey guys, here's your study guide video. I'm going to do two problems, extra problems, so we'll call them E1, extra problem 1. And these are problems that you're going to see on your test. So here we go. Okay, given this, I want to find the axis symmetry, the vertex, the min-max, solution, and a graph. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, first thing, we want to go ahead and find the axis symmetry. The axis symmetry is the x value of the vertex, which is given to us by negative b over 2a. Again, we have the a, b, and c value, and so we're going to get is negative 6 over 2 times 1, which gives us a negative 3. So our axis of symmetry is going to be at x equals negative 3. Well, the vertex is given to us by that first negative 3. The second part we got to plug into the equation. So we're going to get negative 3 squared plus 6 times negative 3 plus 5. Negative 3 squared is going to give me 9 minus 3 times that is 18 plus 5. Okay, 9 minus 18 is a negative 9 plus 5, and I'm going to get negative 4. So I get negative 3, negative 4. Okay. All right, I'm actually going to erase this right now and show you some more work. So we got our axis symmetry and our vertex. We use that negative b over 2a. And then plug it in to find the y value of the vertex. Alright, so let's go ahead and erase this so we have some more space and room. Okay, you can just move down, obviously. Alright, min and max we'll get to in a second, but if we're looking at this, I'm assuming it's opening upward, so this is going to be an upward graph, which means it's going to have a minimum. But we'll get to that and we'll see it in the picture in a second. Okay, but it should be a minimum. Alright, solutions. Well, I can solve this and find my zeros, actually. I'm not going to graph it to find my solutions. I'm going to try using maybe x factoring. So let's try that. We get x squared plus 6x plus 5. So let's draw our x. What numbers multiply to give me 5 and add to give me 6? The answer should be 1 and 5. So I'm going to get x plus 1 and x plus 5 equals 0. We got to use zero product property, so x plus 1 equals 0 and x plus 5 equals 0. This becomes x equals negative 1 and x equals negative 5. Okay, so those are my solutions. I'm going to get negative 1 comma 0 and negative 5 comma 0. Okay, so those are my 2 points. Again, the x value, and then the y value is always going to be 0 because that's where it hits the x-axis. Okay. All right. Again, I'm going to erase this. This was just doing x factoring and using zero product property. Now let's go ahead and graph it. Okay. Okay. So in our graph, we're going to go ahead and plot our vertex. It's going to be at negative 1, 2, 3, and negative 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's my vertex. And then my point should be at negative 1, 0. So I'm going to have one right here. And negative 5, 0. So as you can see, the graph is in fact graphing upward. Oops, a little lazy there. So it's graphing upward, so we definitely know this is a minimum, and here's our graph. Okay. So hopefully that was pretty straightforward on how we do that. So I could write minimum in here. And no problem. Alright, let's take a look at another problem. Okay, here's the second problem that we're going to do together that's not off of the worksheet, so we'll call this E2. Okay, so I'm giving you the parent function. So this is some sort of parabola, and it's based at 0, 0. And given the parent function, I want to go ahead and shift it 2 down, 3 to the left. I want to write the equation and graph it. So first thing we'll do is we'll graph it. So we're going to move it down 2 from where it is. So if it starts here, I'm going to go down 1 and 2. And then I'm going to move to the left 1, 2, and 3. So this should be my vertex. Okay. And then the graph is just going to kind of look normal. So there it is. Alright. So that was the graph part. That was nice and easy. We just do what it says. Okay. So here's the tricky part. So we're given an equation, y equals a x minus h squared plus k. And we got to write the equation of how this fits in. Well, if you recall, the center is our h comma k. So there's two ways we can do this. I can use this part right here to help me, or I can actually read the term in here. Since the parent function, we didn't get narrow or wide, so we're actually going to just start with y equals, the a value is just going to be 1, or we don't have to write it, x squared, and the other parts we don't know. So two ways we can do this. One, I can look over here and I can figure out what spot we're at. Okay, so we're at -3, and then we're at -2, so that'd be -3x and -2y. So this is my h and k. I can plug them in. Negative and a negative is going to make actually a +3, and then k is going to be plus a -2, and that would be my answer. Okay. Another way we could do this is we could recognize that if I go 2, that means I'm going to be on the k value. Oops. I'm going to be on the k value, and that's going to be -2 because I'm going down, and that going left and right affects my h value, and if I go to the left, it actually is a positive in the equation. Okay, so there's two ways we can do it, but in either way we end up with this. Alright, okay, I did a couple of the problems in class, so I'm going to kind of skip over some of those problems, but we didn't finish everything in class, so we're going to kind of go ahead and finish the last couple problems that we didn't get to. So we're only going to finish those last problems. Alright, so I believe we kind of left off on 15. We almost got to 16, or we did kind of get to 16, so let's go ahead and start with 16. Alright, we get x squared plus x equals 12. It asks us to do this complete the square, but you know what? In all honesty, in class, we decided to move the 12 back over and go ahead and x factor. So we got -12 and 1, and what we knew was going to be, our answer is 4, -3. So we get x plus 4 and x minus 3, both set equal to 0. So we're going to set each of these individually to 0, and we're going to go ahead and solve for x. This is such a valuable step that students are forgetting to write down that it's kind of messing with our heads. Okay? Alright, let's look at the next one. 17, again, 17 is kind of a tricky one, and it asks you to solve using the quadratic equation. Okay, we get x squared plus 16 equals 8x. Here's the problem. For this one, it's not in standard form, so I have to subtract the 8x over, and we get x squared plus, minus 8x plus 16 equals 0. So we're going to get our a, b, and c value to be 1, -8, and 16. Alright, so remember our equation. I'm going to write it again. The negative boy couldn't decide if you want to go to the radical party. You didn't want to b square and miss out on 4 awesome churros, and the whole thing was over at 2 a.m. So let's fill it in. We get the -8 plus or minus the square root of -8 squared minus 4, 1, and 16 all over 2 times 1. Alright, I like to always solve under the radical part first. We call this part the discriminant. It lets us know how many values we're going to have. And so we end up getting -, that's going to become a +8, plus or minus the square root. -8 squared is going to become 64, and -4 times 16 is actually going to be 64 as well, which is kind of frightening. Okay, and here we go, negative that, and then we get over 2. So this is going to become 8 plus or minus the square root of 0 over 2. Now 0 is the discriminant value. And remember, if we ever get 0 for the discriminant value, I know I'm going to only get one answer. So plus or minus square root of 0 doesn't really do anything for me. So I end up with just 8 divided by 2, which is just 4. So 4 is my answer, or we could write x equals 4, because that's really what I'm finding is where this graph hits. So x does equal 4. All right. 19. 19, we get 10x squared plus 2x minus 4 equals 0. So I'm trying to find the discriminant, or use the discriminant to find out how many solutions I have. So again, the discriminant is the part under the square root. Now, I don't actually square root it, so I don't need that part. I was just kind of showing it for reference. And our values are a, b, and c, as long as we're in x squared, x, and then no x order. So that's standard form. So got to make sure we're in standard form. Alright, so we're going to get 2 squared minus 4 times 10 times negative 4. That's going to be 4. This is going to be 40 times 4. Essentially, it almost doesn't matter because I see a negative times a negative is going to make a positive. And so I'm going to get a positive answer. So I believe I get 164. I know it's a positive answer. So if you have a positive answer, you're going to get 2 solutions. Okay? If you get a negative answer, you're going to get no solutions. And if you get 0, you're going to get 1 solution. Okay? Obviously, in this situation, we wound up with a positive, so our answer is positive 2 solutions. All right, last one. We get negative 5x squared, plus 10x minus 5 equals 0. And we're going to get our form of b squared minus 4ac. B, A, and C, I'll label those real quick. And we're going to get b squared is going to be 10 squared minus 4, negative 5, and negative 5. Okay. 10 squared is going to be 100. Negative 4 times 5 is going to be 20. 20 times negative 5 is going to be negative 100. So 100 minus 100 is going to give me 0. So 0 is my answer here, which means I'm only going to have 1 solution. Whoops. Close that a little too fast. Okay. Alright, so that's pretty standard. I want to do one last problem. I haven't shown a complete the square one in the video, so might as well show one. So this is just a bonus. Complete the square. Nothing too exciting. Let's do that. Alright, so we're going to complete the square. To do that, we're going to do b over 2 squared. Okay. Again, we have our a value here. Whoops. My b value here, and then I don't have a c value yet, so I'm trying to find it. So we're going to get negative 4 over 2 squared. That's going to become negative 2 squared, which is going to become positive 4. Whatever do to one side, got to do the other. It's going to become 12 over here equals, and this part, I got to be careful. It's always the term right before we square it, which is negative 2. We can double check this. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Negative 2 plus negative 2 is a negative 4, so that checks. And then we're going to take the square root of both sides. We get x minus 2 equals the square root of 12. We always got to write plus or minus. There is no square root of 12, so all I have to do is add the 2 over. And we get x equals 2 plus or minus square root 12. And we are done. Alright guys, good luck. Hopefully if you have any questions or need help, maybe you can somehow fit me in your schedule sometime. Alright, see you guys.